Time waits for no one. It's time to decide. Do you wanna live a new life?
All right. Shalom, 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 everyone. I'm going to give it just a little second for people to kind of join in. This is the first live that I've had a chance to do by myself, so it's going to be new. All right. Got one person joining us. Give it just a little bit more time. All right. Well, for those who are joining or will be joining in, the title of this show, of course, is called Envy, Strife, and Division. Why can't I love my sister? Right? Well, first, I want to open the show by giving thanks and gratitude, of course, to the Most High for the opportunity to be able to come on a platform and to be able to speak about something that is worth speaking about, something that I think we all can relate to, and something that, you know, can be a stumbling block in our walk as we are walking in the truth. But it's an opportunity for growth and change and just to look at things from a different perspective. So it's always a great thing. And I also want to give thanks to our master, our head, the founder of our New Life Global Ministry, that is Chief Yuya. Again, for just giving us a platform to be able to come on and be able to share some of our thoughts, the things that we are learning as we're growing and going through our walk. So shalom to Master Menelik, and I'm not sure who else is joining. I can't see, but to all four of you in the chat. 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. So again, the title of this show is called Envy, Strife, and Division. Why can't I love my sister? Now, the big question is, so what? Right? I was like, oh, so what? I'm thinking, why would someone care about this particular show? Well, or this particular topic, right? Well, for those of you who have been following along some of the teachings that our master has been given, for those of you who may have been catching the series or catching up on the series of the Science of a Righteous Family, and just learning like what it may look like to be in a dynamic where you are practicing polygyny or you're practicing a righteous culture, or you may want to be a part of that, or you may want to be a part of our new, right? So this topic is something that it may come up. It may be something that comes up in those sort of situations. And it's something that, you know, a lot of us have probably learned as we are coming out of Babylon culture, right, into a righteous culture. So it's something that I felt would be relatable to a lot of sisters, you know. So that's the so what. So I want to greet everyone before I continue on. Shalom, shalom, Abba Harut. Shalom, Sister Lahana. Shalom, Sovereign Eats. That is Akoti Maria. Shabbat shalom. Okay, well, we still in Sabbath mode. Okay, I'll take it. All right. So, well, let's get into it. I chose this topic, like I said, because it is a common issue that I think it's okay. It's a topic that I think a lot of us we tend to deal with, and we're not always 100% honest with it, or where we're at with it, or why we may be struggling with it. And like I said, if you find yourself in a situation where you are in a righteous culture, or you're in a righteous home and there is polygyny involved, or even if it's just your relatives or your families, having those issues present, that envy, strife, that division, that jealousy, they can become a blockage in the flow and the progress of whatever the vision and the mission is of your family, of your community, of your whether it's your immediate family, the larger family, whatever it is, it can be a blockage, right? So, so that's where we want to kind of get started and prime ourselves, right? So when we think of these things that are being present, I just think about, like, do we understand what these particular descriptions are, right? So I usually, before I kind of go further, I usually pull from 1 Corinthians 3:3, just to kind of give an idea of what envy, strife, and division is, right? And peace to you, Sata Ahava. Peace, peace, welcome. So 1 Corinthians 3:3, it says, for ye are yet carnal, for whereas there is amongst you envying, strife, and division, are ye not yet carnal, living as men? So I like to start with that scripture because it's pretty descriptive in explaining, like, this is a person who lives uh, by the world, and they may be living in the flesh when they exhibit these particular behaviors, envy, strife, division. And you're not actually living of the spirit. And when we say living of the spirit, we're referencing living by the Ruach HaKodesh. And we know Master has taught us the Ruach is the breath, is the spirit. The, and Kodesh, which is that wisdom, that holy consecrated wisdom that sets us apart. And it teaches us how to actually live and be. So a person who is exhibiting those three qualities, of course, they are still of the world. And again, like I said, if you're coming out of the world into a righteous culture and you're trying to live a righteous life and walk a righteous walk, sometimes that can be something you're still battling with, right? So, of course, what is envy, right? Envy, oh man, envy is when you are looking at the next person, could be your sister, right? You're looking at her and you see something that she may has that's a material possession, right? It could be her clothes. It could be, something as simple as that, right? Or it could be a certain quality that she has within herself, and you want it. You want it, and you feel some type of way about it because that person has it and you don't have it. Well, that's exhibiting envy, right? What is strife? Strife is when you seek to argue. It's an argument, it's combativeness, it's conflict. You're constantly creating that in a space, right? When that's present, of course, the Ruach HaKodesh is not. And of course, division, when you seek to cause division between each other and between a household, that right there is an example of being of the flesh. So you have three examples that kind of explain the difference between being carnal, of the flesh, and being of the Ruach HaKodesh, right? So let's go back. So if you have those things present, and let's say you're living in a righteous household and you guys have a mission, there's something that you're working towards. Well, when those things are present, you're not able to get towards that. You're not able to strive towards that goal and to achieve that goal because those things become a blockage. And think about, let's say you were riding down a highway, right? 4-lane highway, and there was a truck on the highway. There's mounts of traffic just going and going, but there's a truck on the highway who is carrying a lot of debris, right? A lot of just muck and junk and trash or whatever. And they didn't take the time to secure the truck. They didn't take the time to make sure that everything on the truck would be intact, or they're getting it to where it needs to be. And things just start flying off the back of the truck, right? You got tires, you got trash, and everything else. You got envy, strife, and division flying off the back of the truck into the middle of the highway. Well, people will either have to drive around it, they'll have to slow down. It could cause accidents, but the flow of traffic is no longer moving at the pace that it needs to move in order for things to, flow as they need to. And that's kind of what happens when that is present with you and you're dealing with that issue as far as being inside of a righteous household, right? So let's take a breath and let's see what Dr. Hava, she asked the question. She said, would you say envy is the same as to covet? I might not can't answer that question. I might need you to come online and you might have to share what you think it is. Let's see. Let's see if I can get you to come online. And peace to Brother Manuba. Peace, peace. Let's see if I can invite you on. I'm gonna put the link in the chat. Let's see. All right, you hop on and we can have a conversation. But as we're going along, like I said, sometimes you have to look at why those things may be present, right? So there was a series that Master did on just healing the inner child, right? Where he talks about peeling back the layers of those onions and really asking yourself if the way that you feel, the way that you think, why do you feel the way that you feel? Why do you think the way that you think? And so when those issues come up towards your sister, you have to, ask yourself those questions. Why do I feel the way that I feel? Why do I think the way that I think towards this particular person? And a lot of times it can be just a matter of you projecting, right? Projecting certain things that you may feel within yourself onto that particular person. It may not necessarily be anything in particular that person is done, but it's something that you may be dealing with. So that can cause that blockage of love to not be there. And again, when we talk about love, we know love is a connection, being able to connect to the other person. So when those things are present, the envy, strife, the division, the jealousy, you're not able to love your sister or the person that you're in a family or a household with. And so let's see. We're going to keep on going. All right. So I jotted down some other scripture references that I thought would be nice to reference as we're just traveling through this topic. Let's see. One that I threw in there was 1 John 4 through chapter 4, verse 20, where it speaks about if you love the Most High, then you would have to love your brother or your sister, right? So it talks about like if you don't love your brother or your sister, then you can't say that you have loved the Most High because you've never even seen the Most High, but you've seen your brother and sister, right? And this is me just paraphrasing. But I think about, like I said, that love having to be a connection is you being able to see the other person and being able to see what that particular person brings into the space as you guys are moving towards your goal in your household. And sometimes lack of being able to see that person for who they are, it will leave room for behaviors like envy, strife, and division to exist, and jealousy, right? So I think being able to pull on scripture references is important because it can pull you back to a place of being centered when you find yourself exhibiting those behaviors. All right. So keep on going. Galatians 5:19 through 22. Those are actually good scriptures to pull on as well because it gives you a difference, or it shows you the difference between the behavior of those who are living of the carnal spirit and those who may be living of the spirit of the Ruach HaKodesh, right? So, give me 1 second. Let's go through the chat. All right, peace, sovereign eats. Let's see. All right. Sovereign Eat says, Kana to envy makes me recall the warning provided to us in Proverbs. A heart at peace gives life to the body, but envy rots the bones. This is a good scripture. It was actually one of the scriptures that was on my list. I had a list of scriptures that I was thinking like, what could I pull from? And this was one. And I thought about the idea of peace. Having peace in the heart and just being able to sit in a space where you're not being pulled to the left, you're not being pulled to the right, but you're just in a space where it's like, okay, I can see everything for what it is. And I don't feel anything that's fearful or anything that could pull me in that space of being envious or jealous or want to be strifeful, or there's a peace that you have. But the envy rotting the bones is so true, because it's like it becomes so deeply embedded in you, right? And sometimes it can show in your face. It can show in your face. I've met plenty of older people, we'll say older people, who, oh man, they have that so deep inside of them that it shows on their face. It shows in their voice when they speak to you, you know. So that was a good scripture. Thank you, Todai Rabbi. All right, Master Menelec says envy is to look at, covet is to desire or lust after. All right, so this is in reference to Safta Ahava's question. And she asked, would you say envy is the same as covet? Let's see. Well, I think Safta, she's trying to hop on, but I don't think she can get on. Well, I think the two maybe they're similar, because envy, you may be looking at what someone else has and you may want it, but to desire and lust after, I think in some sense you could still be looking at what somebody else has and want it. So to me, envy and covet could coexist together. Let me see. Have to see. Uh-oh. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Please.
I was.
Uh-oh. Okay, there you are. Peace. Well, I'm gonna keep it going. Keep it going. So you asked earlier, would you say envy is the same as covet? Can you maybe share where you were coming from, or just your thoughts around the two terms?
Sure. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
You can hear me.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So if I think someone else asked the same question. Hold on. Let me just make sure. Okay. So for some reason, I'm like behind on the stream for some
Oh,
reason.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
the audio is not right. But someone did say it's to covet. Like in the Ten Commandments, it talks about thou shalt not covet. In other words, you do not, you're not wanting what someone else has. So when you talked about envy, I think about the fact that we're not supposed to covet something that belongs to someone else. So that's basically, that was my thought, because being that it is one of the commandments. So anyways, that was just my comment. But for some reason, I'm having some audio problems. I don't know if you can hear it, but I'm listening to a lag.
No, I don't know. Maybe on my end it's coming through fine. It's coming through fine on my end. It was just off a little bit in the beginning, but just to piggyback off of what you're saying in terms of coveting and just you're looking at what somebody else has. Oh, well, she's gone. You know, as you were saying that, Safta, something that came to mind was that a lot of times, if that is the case, if we're constantly looking at what someone else has, or we're lusting after what they have, that may be an opportunity that we have missed to be able to see what it is that we have. What is it that the Most High has given us, you know, and that opportunity to focus on what has been given to us is an opportunity for us to cultivate and grow that thing within ourselves or whatever it is. And it's an opportunity to focus on gratitude, right? And I think that could be a tool used to maybe dispel or disperse envy or any sort of strife or, division, taking it back to the title, of course. But that's what came to mind. Let me keep it going. All right. Shalom, Sister Yafe. Shalom, House of Yuya. That is a Kosi Sequoia. I saw the smiley face and I'm like, seeing your face in my head. All right. Sovereign E says, and envy comes with deep bitterness towards the person as well. Absolutely. And a lot of times that bitterness, like you can think, oh man, because this person, they have something that I don't have, like you're constantly bitter towards them. Like anytime they may achieve something, you can't even be happy for them, right? Anytime they're striving or they're moving forward in their journey, you may not be able to celebrate their wins and their victories because you have this bitterness within you. And again, like to me, it speaks to that disconnect. You're not able to love your brother or your sister, but in this particular case, we're saying sister, right? All right. Peace to Master Covet or Covet. I think you're referencing my accent, but we won't speak to that. All right. Akoti Yafe says, interesting, Master Menelec. I wonder if that looking has a particular emotion or thought that accompanies that behavior. So it could be, this is what I'm thinking when you say an emotion or thought that accompanies that behavior. It could be that emptiness. It could be that feeling of like, I lack something. Or it could be the thought of, well, why can't I have this? Why didn't I get that? Or maybe I feel like I should have had what that person has, right? And sometimes I think that could be related to not being aware of who you are and what you are supposed to have and maybe what you're not supposed to have. Maybe everything isn't for you, right? These are thoughts that are coming to my mind as I'm reading your comments. So Master Menelec says Proverbs 27:4, wrath is cruel and anger is outrageous, but who is able to stand before envy? This was another scripture that I jotted down. Now, this particular scripture to me, I thought was interesting because it seems like to be angry, to have wrath, like that's one thing. But envy, it just seems like it's on such a deeper level than angry and wrath, because it seems like being angry can pass. It's something that can just pass over you. You can, you can go outside and take 10 deep breaths and let that emotion pass over you. But with envy, because like it says, it rots to the bone, it's something that sticks with you. It's something, like I said, it shows on your face. It can show in the way that you speak, in your tone of your voice, and just your interaction, right? So that particular scripture to me is one that I would say I've been looking at myself and just meditating on. Master Menelec says, the looking often has that bitterness that Sovereign Eats mentioned, Yafe, but I don't think it's limited to that. Would you like to come on and maybe share what you think, or share more of your thoughts on your comment? All right, well, we can keep it going. Thank you guys again for chiming in and helping me along with this live. I'm going to keep it going. I wanted to just kind of get to like what were some of the positives about this particular subject, right? So it sounds bad. It's like, oh, envy, strife, division. Why can't I love my sister? Oh, man. But I just wanted to say that there is a positive to all of this, right? I don't think anything comes up that isn't an opportunity for you to just explore, learn, and conquer, right? Or maybe more than conquer, but change, right? As you're going through your walk. So to me, this is a positive topic to discuss, because you you, for those of you who are out there listening, for those of you who may come across this particular video, any young sisters out there who are choosing to walk a righteous path and choosing to live out a culture, or who may be interested in joining our new. The positive is that you have the opportunity to choose whether you want to live carnal, and exhibit those behaviors, or if you want to live righteous and exhibit the behaviors of the Most High. So I wanted to reference again Galatians 5:19 through 22. Like I said, these are characteristics that will explain to you what it looks like if you are living a carnal life and what it looks like if you're living a life of the Ruach HaKodesh. So I picked three that I felt was three descriptions that I thought were really, really, really good. When you talk about the descriptions of someone who is operating in the spirit, and that is love. And of course, our master teaches us that love is a connection. So it's being able to also be obedient to the Most High. And as Safta Ahava mentioned, we are not to covet. So if you love the Most High, you will keep the commandments of the Most High. And that is a characteristic that exhibits, again, the Most High. Peace, peace. You're in a space where you're not being pulled to the left, pulled to the right, but you're in a space where you are just clear on this is what it is. This is the truth. This is it. Right? And you have that internal peace, but that peace comes from that wisdom that you receive from the Ruach HaKodesh. Okay? Gentleness. That was one that I chose to kind of just throw out there, because I think a lot of times people are quick to anger, people are quick to strife. It's to just cause arguments and just, But a person who is very gentle, that is something that can actually change. It can change a person, when they are met with a gentleness. So if you have that quality, it's a beautiful quality to have. But that is one that exhibits, one of the Most High. So, or the spirit of the Ruach HaKodesh, we'll say that, right? So I'm gonna show this last comment before I close out. Safta Ahava says, envy also makes me think of a person who is lacking in character and spiritual maturity. Absolutely. And I think that speaks to that emptiness. When I mentioned, like, sometimes you're looking at other people like, oh, I want this, but it's really a thought of, why don't I have that? Or maybe why can't I have that? Because you are not aware of what you may have inside of you. And just there's an opportunity for you to build certain characteristics up in yourself, but you didn't take the time to recognize that, because you're focused on what the other person has, or, what you don't have. So I would say that to your comment. So, all right. Well, we're not going to keep it long. I do want to thank everybody for joining the conversation, joining in, sharing your insights, sharing scriptures. This is my first live, and all right, well, peace.
Peace. How you doing, sister?
Doing well. How are you?
I'm doing well. I
Good,
only
good.
joined on because you had asked me to expound on what I had said earlier
Okay.
about the envy, possibly having other emotions tied to it. Because the bitterness, I think, is surely there. And I was thinking about there's a section in the Anue that talks about gossip and backbiting. And Chief had broken down the term bitterness, meaning to bite.
Yeah.
And he had also included the surah that spoke to the level of repulsiveness that backbiting and bitterness should have, in terms that you wouldn't, I'm paraphrasing, but it said, would you want to eat the flesh of one of your dead brothers? Surely not. It would repulse you, But it's a similar sort of way when you when you experience envy and bitterness, you don't have that level of disgust sensitivity towards your own actions because you have so many negative attention focused outward.
Mm.
You know, you don't want to acknowledge what's going on with you. So anything that's happening is sort of the other person's fault. Even if
Right.
I've seen people who are envious and try to harm someone who they were envious of. Their
Mhm.
plans backfired, and they blame the person they were scheming against for their plans backfired, and it made them even angry at them.
Mhm.
You know, but when you dig down to the root of it, these things may start very young. That's why I was saying I'm not sure what else could be mixed in with it. It might be feelings of abandonment, might be feelings of inadequacy.
Mhm.
They might be putting on a false shade of confidence because they're insecure, and someone comes along and they can effortlessly outdo them when they're trying so hard to put on this facade, and the person who's outdoing them is authentic. You know, so
Right.
that there's a lot of, I think, shades to enviousness, but I also think that the bitterness is a very common element in it. So that's what I
Yeah.
was meaning when I said that it could be more to it than just oh, she's bitter.
Hmm. I think when you bring up that the component of like there are things that may be going on with that particular person, that's where I said that the positive comes in on the topic, because you do have to see it as an opportunity to kind of see like, okay, what is going on with you? And it's an opportunity to actually change those things, or maybe acknowledge, because maybe it could be years upon years upon years where you never actually truly acknowledge what was going on and where that issue may have stemmed from inside of you that you may be projecting onto the next person, or to that sister. And I think that to me is like, okay, when you talk about bitterness, it's like, well, where did that come from? Can I acknowledge one? It's like, can I actually acknowledge that that is there? Then can I sit and really trace, like, where did it actually come from? Where did it root from? Because it's not that the person did anything particular to me. It's just that that person may be triggering something that I never actually, truly dealt with. So I just see it like, okay, it's an opportunity, it's not a thing to necessarily run from, or to act like, oh, it doesn't exist. But it's something that, you can change should you choose to.
Okay. All right. I saw in the chat, Chief Yuya had asked if you spoke about the cure for envy.
The cure for envy. Well, I jotted down those three. I gave you those three examples, those three characteristics that spoke about the opposite of what envy would be, which is, again, that love, that peace, that long suffering, the gentleness, all of that coming from Galatians 5:22 through 23. So I think pulling on those particular descriptions and actually putting them in motion can help to cure the envy. Let's
Okay.
see.
Suspense is
Uh-oh.
killing you. Looking at the time. Did I
I'm
get
like,
it right?
I'm trying to keep up. All right. Akosi Yafe says, I was drawn to look for Hebrews 12:2, where we are told to look unto Yahushua. If our eyes are stayed in the proper and righteous please, I'm thinking that's righteous place, then there should be no envy. Absolutely. So I think when I mentioned in the beginning, like sometimes your household, right? There may be a specific vision or mission that you all are striving for, and a lot of times, if you're not focused on the mission and the vision, you will begin to look at the next person, and you're looking like, oh well, they got this and they got that, and I want this and I want that. So your focus is completely off, and that can be like I said, that blockage or that thing that kind of stops the flow of traffic. It stops everything from moving. So I think when you use that example, Hebrews 12 and 2 of keeping your focus on Yahushua, again, that to me is like, that's the mission in a sense. You're striving to be Yahushua, basically. So,
Okay.
and she did say place.
Okay. Yeah, I was also thinking about I can't remember which verse it was exactly though. I remember kind of the context where there were people at that time when Paul was writing a letter, and he was talking about people who were in the ecclesiasticus who like they coveted certain gifts. Like some people wanted to be able to see visions or speak in tongues or, perform supernatural acts. And in a sense, he was admonishing them to not really focus too much on those gifts. I can't remember exactly what the verse was saying, but he was steering them away from desiring these things.
The gift. It seems like it draws me towards a passage in the Anu way, but it's like you're not exalting the gift over the giver, kind of thing. Like that's where it's taking me when you mention that. But like being able to focus on the giver rather than, like you said, the gift is probably keeping you focused, and you wouldn't be looking at the next person like, oh, I wish I had this or I wish I had that. So that's what's popping up in my head as you say that. Oh, I can't hear you.
On the giver of the gift, as opposed to just the gift itself.
I didn't hear it. Uh-oh.
You can't hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay. I was saying you focus on, like you were saying, you're focusing on the gift instead of the giver of the gift. And you're essentially rerouting all of the energy around you back into yourself. So that it could also speak to a level of emptiness that a person would feel. And they think that pulling energy from outside themselves is going to fill whatever hole that they have.
Yeah. And oh man, that makes me think about something that Master he has been teaching and telling, like certain signs, like when you do that, it's like people who that emptiness, they're like constantly trying to fill themselves up. So it's like, yeah, you overeating, you're just, you become greedy and you just eating, or overindulging in sex, or what else? Yeah, overindulging in attention. I think we spoke about that yesterday, like that self-absorption. And oh man, so yeah, that's All right. Sister Lahana says, that verse threw my mind back to the eye segment where you all opened up the lesson discussing what an evil eye is. Oh, I gotta go back to that one. Uh-oh. All right. Peace. What is that?
Peace to you, yeah. I like your profile picture.
Thank you. Yeah, I thought it was a nice picture. Yeah.
Oh man, peace, master.
So I was curious as to like, what are women? Because we talking about sisters getting along, I guess.
But you come on with this picture.
Memories, good time. What are sisters usually jealous or envious of each other of?
Oh man, well it depends. It's levels. Some can be jealous of just, like I said, basic things like your clothes. Oh, she dresses a certain way, right? Like I'm taking it back to like high school days. She is getting a certain amount of attention because of what she looks like, or I don't think I look, a certain way, and I'm not getting the attention, so I'm jealous of the next person. But I think as you get older, sometimes it may be certain qualities. You know, you may look at the next sister and say, oh man, she has, maybe she has a kindness about her that draws people to her. Or, you know, maybe she has a spirit of resilience that maybe I don't have. So it could be things on, you know, it could be different things on different levels.
Mm. So, what would you say would be the immediate, at least especially for the new woman, what would be like an immediate tangible step when that sort of spirit rises up in her?
An immediate tangent. So I think choosing emotional intelligence. I think that's an internal step that you can take, and really like centering yourself and like seeing, okay, is this something that I'm feeling? Is it something that's going on with me? Or am I just leaning into this thought? You know, am I leaning into something that actually doesn't have anything to do with the particular person? Or is this something that I'm dealing with internally, you know, that I may not have addressed? So instead of lashing out, it may be like, let me have that internal dialogue.
Mm.
Let me have that
So,
internal dialogue
is it?
first.
I would think that there are opportunities to become like for anything that you may envy in the moment. There's an opportunity to be filled with joy. Like I would think. I'm not a woman, of course. I will not be in this lifetime. So, you
We
know,
hope.
my comprehension of, you know, that how that current of emotion flows is a bit different. But, you know, like I saw some of the things in the chat, like Safta Hava said, you know, I think, well, I passed it. But I saw some stuff that envy relationships, and Yafe said, you know, men, attention, money, skin, hair. So basically, like everything, you know, there is to envy. But I think in those moments, like, I don't know, if I was a woman and I saw somebody with uh, a man and say, I don't have a man, in that moment, I could be happy. I'd be like, wow, she has a man. Or wow, they're a good looking couple, you know, or, you know, how much do I think about what I have and think about what I have with gratitude? You know, how often is my mind there? Because it's very difficult to, I think, feel envious about someone else's thing when you are overjoyed and grateful with your thing. You know, and the more you learn to embrace what you have, however grand or however humble. But the more you learn to embrace it, the less you even see other people's stuff. You know, and then sometimes you might even see, not to say like, you know, to try to hate on anyone, but you might even see a negative in some of what someone else has. You know, if someone has a bunch of money, and you might be like, more money, more problems. My life is simple. I'm cool. You know, I enjoy my simple life. I enjoy, you know, taking walks in the woods or in the park. It's free. You know, you know, you start to see the things that you love. So if your first reaction is, I think, if your preventive response is to focus on what you have with gratitude, I think you'll have less reactive response. Because I think what happens is that the reactive response in the moment always is like, oh, she has a nice car, or she has nice skin. My skin is so ugly. So in the moment you think about you. But if you preventively before the moment, if you think about you, when the moment comes, you won't think about you. You'll praise the other person because you've already filled yourself up with enough gratitude and love and appreciation that there really is no room for you to say something injurious or destructive about yourself, which would cause you now to envy the other person. Because that's really where it's coming from. You're going to look at what they have and you're going to say, I don't, I want. But if you're already filled up with the appreciation of what it is that you've honored with yourself, then there's no space for that. It's easy for you to even congratulate someone and to truly be happy for someone. Or I think one of a great cure is to join in their success. You know, help them, because sometimes even in joining in and helping another person, you learn how they got what they got, and you can apply it to your own walk. You know, it may not look exactly like what they did, but it'll probably be an improvement towards, you know, the direction of where you would like to be or where you would like to go. If you say, hey, I'm going to not only celebrate this, I'm going to support it and I'm going to assist it. Just a thought.
It's a great thought. I think to me, like the key word is like opportunity, to see an opportunity to choose something different. And I think that's to me, like that's the positive of this whole topic. Like, you know, because you can harp on it and say like, oh man, envy, strife, division, these are horrible things. But it's like, yeah, it is an opportunity to practice, like you said, gratitude, and to practice, like, you know, honoring the things that you do have, the gifts that you do have, and then honoring also where you got those things from, you know, where they came from. So, like you said, like choosing not to just honor the gifts, but the giver of the gifts, you know.
I have some old paperwork that I found in my home um, from many, many years ago. And there was a legal proceeding because of something that I was in the middle of. And I was so thankful to find it, because in reading it, I learned a lot about myself as a younger person and the people around me. Now it's just an old yellow tarnish. I mean, it's yellow at this point. It's so old. Tarnished couple of pages, but I was so very thankful to have it, and I have it now in my safe. You know, I took pictures of it, then I put it in my safe. You know, I'm very thankful for that. So I'm just curious, for those of us who are here, like, is there anything that you have that is probably pretty cheap, tacky, worn out, old, worthless to everybody else, but is really dear to you, that you can hold to and say, man, I'm so grateful I have this, even though it ain't, for anybody else looking at it, it'd be like, man, throw that out. Or that's not a big deal. Everybody got one of those, you know.
I would say for me is coming back home and looking through some of my old things. It was old sketchbooks from when I wasn't as good as I thought I was back then.
Mhm.
And I get to see some of the progress that I've made through really putting in work and practice. Because sometimes I don't think I'm as far ahead as I should be. And then when I look at those things, it's like, but look at where you came from, you know, and that I'm grateful when I look at those things.
Mm.
I feel like if I answer, it's gonna sound like I'm taking your answer, because there were two things that popped in my head. It was an old, not even a sketchbook. It was a magazine that I made of just drawings from maybe I was 11 or 12 years old. And it just, to me, when I go back and look at it, it reminds me of like that time of just like it, when the gift was innocent, right? And it wasn't about I'm trying to be in a museum, or I want my art to be seen or nothing. It was just like, it was a moment where maybe you were finding yourself, or that space where you were communing with the Most High and you were at peace, you know? So to me, that is special because it takes me back to that space. But then there's also, I have the other thing that popped into my head is a set of keys that I have, that were my father's. And to me, they, you know, they raggedy and rusty and old and all that stuff. But to me, it's just something that I really, really value and appreciate, because it's just a reminder of like, you know, something good that you came from, Like anytime you think like, huh, you're reminded of like, but you come from something, a special situation, so you have something to look back and pull from.
Mm. I don't have my father's old keys, but I'm not envious that you have your father's old keys,
Mm,
because I have my old yellow piece of paper
mm,
from the Supreme Superior Court, outlining a situation.
mm,
And I think about that and I focus on that, and I'm grateful and I'm thankful for it every day. So you telling me about your keys doesn't make me like, I want some keys of my own too, because I got my thing too. So we can talk about each thing that we have, and we can celebrate and be happy for each other and increase our joy.
mm. Yeah, I think that's to me, when you say that, it's like an opportunity to exchange love. When you remove the I'm envious of what you have. It's an opportunity to just exchange love, and
Mm.
that's it. And sometimes that's all that's needed. You don't need anything else.
Yeah, I think anytime you try to measure your happiness by what can be obtained, you'll always feel inadequate, because there's always more to obtain. There's always more to obtain. But if you measure your happiness by the pleasure that you're able to experience in the moment, some people can't feel the moment. It just be like passing them right by. It's like, I know I've experienced it before. It annoys me anytime like I play a song, like it'd be a song I really love. I'd be like, hey man, let me, like one of my friends, like, let me play this song. This song is crazy. And they'll listen to like 15 seconds of it and then start talking. And it's like,
Yeah.
and like, yeah, this is like so and so. This is like such and such. I was down by the street. Like, what? You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't be quiet for 3 minutes. A song is just 3 minutes now. You can't be quiet for 3 minutes. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, see, that's a sign of an unhappy person, because you can't fully put yourself in the moment and find total pleasure in the moment. But if my happiness was gauged off of like, well, I have these speakers I can play this song on, and I have this whatever. I mean, I don't pay for streaming services, but whatever. I know how to jailbreak streaming services. Yeah, but go out and stream my new joint, Black Polygamy. You know what I mean? Make sure you pay for that subscription. But
Oh man.
but I ain't paying. So that's the thing. I made the music. I shouldn't have to pay.
Oh
So,
man.
but it's like when you focus on that moment, man. Like even when you see somebody who has something, you could be excited, and that could be a pleasurable moment. Like I was looking at Menelec paint them balls on the ground, and I'm like, yo, that's what they was. It's balls. Is there an artistic term for balls on the ground? I mean, you tell me. Educate me.
The term is sphere.
Yeah.
Sphere. Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, them spears was click clacking up and down the hallway. But yeah, man. And I was like getting amped. You know what I mean? Because like when I saw him, because I can't draw. Everybody knows I can't draw, but I get so excited when I see people draw. I think it's one of like the most amazing talents. And when I saw him like first tracing it out, I guess with pencil or something, I don't know. I was getting excited because I was like, because when I first looked at the spear, I was like, okay, now if I was doing this, I know I would mess up because I probably wouldn't measure the proportions right for how it has to spin around, get to the other side. I'd probably focus on one side more than I should and not really understand the perspective of this whole thing is round. So I'm like, I wonder how he's gonna, obviously he knows how to do it, but I'm looking at myself and I say, okay, I'm gonna watch this and I'm gonna learn. Then when I saw him tracing, I was like, oh, because he probably know he gonna mess up. So that's why he chasing it like that, because he would mess up just like I would mess up. So he got to make sure he get the proportions right before he starts laying down the paint on the balls. So I'm watching that, man, and I'm like, it's not that I'm assisting, but I'm learning something by supporting and being in the middle of it. You know, so I think sometimes even that, there's so much that you can learn if you just jump in another person's moment and support their glory. You can learn something that way too. Because I looked at him do that, and I was like, I might be able to do something. I mean, not that elaborate. I mean, he did a whole woman with the hair flowing and all that. But I'm like, I could just paint it one color and like put an ankh on it. I could do that. You know? So yeah.
Sing more. Peace, Dakota Yafe. Peace.
Peace. Y'all hear me? I'm having internet trouble.
Peace, peace.
What? Okay,
We
I'm
said
just
we
gonna
could
talk.
hear
You guys sound a little choppy to me. Okay. Okay, two things. I wanted to speak to like the song example because it made me think also about
I can't hear you.
Interesting.
No
can you
song.
hear me?
This is
I got
song
a
Pootie
call.
Tang
That's what
did.
happened. Somebody called.
This is the B side of my polygyny. This is the B side.
It made me think about being in silence as well, like when you're in that space where you're not envious and you're also actually to like soak up space with another person, and it be like silent, and it's not like a contentious or tense silent, but maybe just enjoying the beauty of the moment, and you're able to just kind of be in a space. And I just thought like that's also where you don't have, it's a moment and I guess an experience where you don't have envy, strife, and division, because you're actually able to do that together. I just thought of like just like the beauty of like being able to just be in silence together, and it not have to be filled with noise and talking and things like that. So I just that when you mentioned the music example, it just made me think of that. And maybe it's not related, but I thought it was, so I wanted to share. And
Yeah, it's
then
not.
there, okay. Why you
I
have to
mean,
burst my bubble?
maybe to a degree, I think like I could speak to like maybe having those moments of like being around the other sisters, and you recognize certain things in them, like you recognize certain behaviors or certain quirks about them. I think I said that right. Oh. But you recognize little
That's from Star Trek.
with the word
Quirk is from Star Trek. You mean quirk?
quirks, yes. Oh boy. Well,
Yes.
we're gonna have to bring out Scrabble again. But what I was saying is basically like you have those moments where you do see the parts in that person that are beautiful, right? And you're like, oh, this is what the creator put inside of you. This is what makes you beautiful. But it's like it only comes in those moments where you're able to, like, for me, it's like when you're able to quiet all of the chatter, the internal chatter that you may have and you're always focusing on, which is that, that self-absorption. But you just are able to just be present and see the other person, and you see those small things. And maybe that's the artist in me. I don't know. But seeing those small things about the person, and you do delight and you're happy and you're like, oh, that's what it is. That's what makes that person, beautiful and special or unique and to a degree, you know what I mean? So you can celebrate that part about them. Like, I don't know, today, like a Kotiafe, I kept saying, you should be on a reality TV show because you're funny. And you're not trying to be funny, but it's just you being you. And I just appreciated that because it's like, man, she is funny. She is really
We
funny.
appreciated that you could laugh at her and she doesn't know she's being laughed at.
No, I'm not laughing at her. Like, that's what I was saying.
A troublemaker.
No. I'm laughing because it's like she's actually like she's funny. Like she's funny. And that's something that you can enjoy, when you take the time to see that person, like you can enjoy that, you know.
So what about the coveting part? What are the solutions to that when you're coveting something another sister has?
Lusting after something another sister has.
Coveting after something another sister has.
Are you asking both?
See what you did there.
Yeah, I kept order. That's what I just did. Kept order.
Oh man. Let's see. Well, I guess the solution. Well, I named my solution the first time, which was wrong. Looking at like what's being triggered, like why would you be lusting, and kind of asking yourself those questions, like why are you lusting after what that other person has, and is it something that you're looking like you're skipping within yourself? But maybe it would be to
I-
go into gratitude and look at what you have, or just simply follow Torah and don't do it.
What is could someone pull up Micah 2:1?
Oh, if I do, I'll get knocked off. Sorry.
You do have more than one device. Sorry.
Yeah,
Listen,
well, I'm not in the area where the rest of my devices are.
I got it.
It would be
Somebody else said,
disruptive
okay,
if I
here we go.
did.
Master Mentalect.
Micah 2:1.
it's like,
Woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it, because it is in the power of their hand.
And 2, this next verse.
And they covet fields, and they take them by violence, and houses, and take them away. So they oppress a man and his house, even a man and his heritage.
hmm So I think what that could be interpreted as a person who's coveting something that is another person's automatically starts scheming on that thing. So coveting and scheming go hand in hand. So to covet, like when it says, do not covet thy neighbor's house or that neighbor's wife, because you will automatically start to scheme on how to get that, how to take that, how to seize it, how to steal it. Or like you said, even you'll defraud that other person of their land or defraud that other person of their home. And this is something that sort of happens automatically just from the spirit of coveting. Like,
Mhm.
sometimes I've been in situations like this where like you might be dealing with a woman and her friend, you could tell, is liking you, if you will. And as a result, like she may not necessarily just try to straight up like sleep with you, but she'll try to make time with you. She'll extend conversations with you when she doesn't need to. She'll be showing up places she's not supposed to pop up. She'll be leaving when she's supposed to get up and leave because you picking the sister up. She's still like taking her time to get off the sofa, stuff like that, so she can get an extra couple of words with you. In that sense, she's trying to steal time or steal energy, from her friend with you. So she's coveting you, and it comes out sometimes in very sneaky ways like that, where it doesn't seem like it's not full-fledged, like, she's inviting you to her bed, but she is trying to steal presence and energy. So I think, if you keep in your mind that coveting and stealing go hand in hand, then it helps, because you'll know that the moment you covet, you're gonna be on demon time immediately.
That reminds me of the movie Blood and Bone.
hmm
Dude, he just saw his woman and he was like, all right, I'm gonna frame him and send him to jail, and I'm gonna
Right.
addicted to drugs, I'm gonna get rid of that little youth they had, I'm gonna break up an entire family because I want
Because I want
just
this
hover
woman.
around.
Right. Right. Like, King David all over again with Michael Jai White.
Yeah.
Or this makes me think of like the opposite. Like if you, I don't know, maybe not if you were envious or coveting, but what if it was like an opportunity, like in a polygynous situation where you could invite the sister in, so there wouldn't have to be that coveted spirit present, and
She
they
could
could just
still covet. You might invite her in, and she may say, "Well, I wish I had the relationship with him like she does. I wish I had the timing with him like she does. He laughs at her jokes, but doesn't laugh at my jokes. He seems to really enjoy her cooking, but doesn't enjoy my cooking. I notice whenever she gets up from the table, he looks at her behind, but I got a flat butt, you know. So there's like always opportunity. I mean, as a polygynous man, these are the things that you have to deal with, that the stuff that comes up sometimes, so I think the coveting it's a spirit that's linked to stealing. I mean, because if you'll, like, the old folks used to say, if you'll steal, no, if you'll lie, you'll steal.
still
You know what I
cheat.
mean? Yeah, and you'll cheat, but if you'll lie, you'll steal. That was the two ones. You added one in that wasn't really in there. But so yeah, for 2024, we'll throw cheat in there.
It was the Eddie Guerrero song.
I know. I knew it was a song, but we trying to consecrate ourselves. So yeah, back to holiness. So I would just say that yeah, I think if you look at the effects of stealing, I mean, you're just looking at the 10 Commandments. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife or maid servant or home. Thou shalt not steal. Like, it's almost redundant, because if you're gonna covet, you're gonna steal. And if you're gonna steal, you're gonna lie. So even if you have a friend who's coveting what you have, and you say, okay, well, come in and have what I have, you may invite her in because she's already played a mind game on you to invite her in. You don't even realize you're playing into her hands, and her plan is to knock you out of position because she's coveting.
Oh man, you're setting yourself up. Basically, setting yourself up for the okie doke.
Yeah, man, for sure. I've seen it happen a couple of times too, where it wasn't even a relationship, but it might have been like a position that someone had, that someone else thought that they should have had, and they just keep trying to undermine them. The person who's coveting just keeps trying to undermine the other person in front of everyone to make them seem like they're losing face or they don't know what they're doing.
Mhm.
And then they just try to swoop in like, well, I pointed out the problem that they have, but let me come in with the solution to the problem that I just fabricated.
Right.
Mhm.
I'm sorry, I gotta hop off.
All right, brother.
I appreciate the build.
Yes.
Yeah, thanks, sister.
Soda.
On the chat.
And Soda, thank you. Thank you.
Peace. I have a call too. I'm gonna hop off. I have a call, but give thanks.
Thank
Right.
you.
Okay, well,
Everybody got a call. Well, I'm about to because I got a call. No, just playing.
me too. I got a video call. How about that? I'll do you one better.
Well, since everyone is leaving, I guess it's time to close it out. But I do want to thank everyone for jumping in. Definitely jumping in the chat. Peace of brother Mayuba. I don't think I got to greet you. Peace to Michael. I don't think I can say the last name, but peace to you as well. And thank you for joining. Thank you again to Master Menelek for joining on the live. Thank you, Safta Haba, for joining in on the live. Thank you again, Master, for joining the live. And thank you, Sister Yafe, for joining the live. And until the next live, I want to say peace, 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 and enjoy the rest of your Yom Rishon. Peace.